Hello everyone and welcome to Season 6, Episode 41 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2021 as we officially enter into the top 10 with match number 10 on our list, which is the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match between the champion Will Ospreay and the challenger Shingo Takagi from the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dontaku 2021 Night 2 event held on May the 4th of 2021. So this match is a fairly quick turnaround rematch. These two met in the finals of the New Japan Cup back in March. They had a fantastic match that, we hit early in our countdown. Will Ospreay would capitalize on that tournament victory, go on to dethrone Kota Ibushi to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and his first title defense would be lined up with Shingo. I talked a lot about the chemistry between these two in the previous video, so I'm not going to harp on that too much, but these two seem like custom-built opponents for each other. You know what you're going to get out of a big match from both of these guys. You're going to get tons of big moves, tons of kickouts, tons of drama, and especially these two, against each other, you're going to get some phenomenal counter sequences, and you're going to get a really, really exciting match. Now, this match goes significantly longer than their match at the New Japan Cup. It is significantly longer than any match they've ever had. It goes about 45 minutes. A lot of criticism, and a lot of it rightfully so, can be given to that New Japan kind of main event style with the elongated main events. But something that I kind of appreciated in, this match is that it was quite the contrast to their New Japan Cup finals. In that one, both guys right out of the gates, guns a-blazing, trying for their finishing moves. It was at the end of a grueling tournament, really trying to sell that they had to win and that they had to win quickly. This, one-off title match, that they didn't have to push that same pace that they needed to. And it shows the differences in Will Ospreay, and much like with the Jay White and Kota Ibushi, match that I talked about the other day from Wrestle Kingdom, where that was a very lengthy match that really made Kota Ibushi's title reign, subsequently after that match stand out, where he had all of these short kind of 20-ish, 25-minute title matches. The same can be said with this one. Ospreay wins the title from Ibushi and immediately transitions back into those long-form New Japan main events. And he wrestles, still a Will Ospreay match, but, a lot more focusing on strikes, punches, limb work, slowing it down. And it almost, in a way, to me, kind of, I talk so much about, wrestler insecurities and how stuff like that can bleed into a character if a wrestler's allowing it to do so. And that's really on display here, where it almost feels like Will Ospreay, in a way, is trying to play main event world champion because he's not quite the main event world champion that he needs to be, which, goes into him winning the title from Ibushi, but being a part of the United Empire, having this stable backing him, having interference, making the heel turn, starting to cheat. Very reminiscent of when Tetsuya Naito eventually won the IWGP heavyweight title, where, this is this guy that for a while, you felt like he was ready, but when he actually won the title, it turned out to be a disappointment, and he fizzled out as champion very quickly. And the same could be said with Ospreay. Maybe not intentionally, he had to vacate the title due to some medical reasons, but that's kind of what this match felt like. But that said, this is an incredible match. I appreciate all of those storyline elements coming to a head. And like I said, although this match goes 45 minutes, it feels half that length just because of how much they jam into that time frame. So, at the start of the New Japan Cup, like I said, guns a-blazing, finisher attempts. Here, we don't get that lightning quick opening. We get some, fast-paced counters kind of sprinkled throughout, but both guys are definitely a bit more tentative, especially Ospreay. They do all of these callbacks. Shingo, one of the first move he hits in most of his matches is a big shoulder block to establish his power game. When he hits it early here, Ospreay does like an arrogant kip up out of it, basically trying to show like, I'm the champion. You can't bully me around. You can't intimidate me here. We get, a very early tease of both guys being on the floor and going for tables. There was the big 450 through the table spot in their New Japan match, so I like that little callback. Ospreay finds an opportunity to go to work on Shingo's arm, spends a lot of time working on that arm. Shingo does a great job selling it whenever he needs to use it for offense. Ospreay stays on top, for the good bulk of the, opening 20 minutes of the match. And he's so arrogant and conceited. At one point, he gets Tree of Woe and Shingo when he kind of sits in front of him and slaps him and, kicks him in the head and all of this stuff just to, raise the air of Shingo. When he goes to the Kawada kicks, which was a moment at the end of the New Japan Cup match where, he hit these Kawada kicks and Shingo fired up and kind of scared Ospreay a little bit. So they go to that very early here where they kind of, fire Shingo up. And it leads to, the first kind of fast-paced, crazy counter sequence that these guys are known for occurring about 20 minutes into the match. So we really got this elongated opening to kind of set the stage for what's to follow. But it was really good, really gripping stuff. It made this feel, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective on it, made it feel like an IWGP heavyweight title match, as opposed to a more junior match that, these guys would normally have, in the junior heavyweight division that they originally came from. There is a lot of good struggle points in this match where, yes, they do big moves, but there's fighting and teasing for it. There's a big struggle up top that leads to Will Ospreay hitting like a crazy, Shelton Benjamin kind of run up, jump to the top rope in one leap into a Spanish fly, which was pretty crazy. Will Ospreay gets the draping shooting star press followed by another shooting star press for 2. So we get, a bunch of good, near falls kind of peppered throughout this match. We get a lot of teases of the tables on the floor that end up getting put side by side. Ospreay goes for the 450. Shingo cuts that off. Ospreay ends up going for the Oz cutter to the floor off the ring apron that he hit in New Japan Cup match. That gets cut off, and we end up getting just a sick made in Japan off the ring apron through the tables. The table slices Will Ospreay's back, so we get a little bit of blood in this one too. But again, another, callback kind of flip side of the coin spot that I loved. This time it's Ospreay just beating the count to get into the ring. And Shingo, immediately pouncing on him with a big sliding forearm and another, sick made in Japan for a 2 count. And in the New Japan Cup match, it was Shingo just beating the count from the tables and immediately getting hit with a shooting star for 2. So the flip side, although, I will say this about it, sometimes when wrestlers go for callbacks in a match, they, what on paper might seem super cool. And don't get me wrong, it was super cool. I just put it over speaking about it. But in the grand scheme of things, it maybe doesn't make a ton of sense. In the New Japan Cup match, you're going to win any way you can. Here, Ospreay is obviously going to try to win any way he can. But Shingo, almost trying to take the count-out win for Ospreay to come in at 19 just to blow him with, with the sliding forearm. What would have happened if Ospreay stayed outside for that extra second? Shingo would have won the match by count-out. He wouldn't have got the title. So, I don't know. I get what they were going for, in that switcheroo. It was clever. It led to great drama. But when you really start to dissect it, didn't make a ton of sense. But again, we also get this great callback where, Will Ospreay collapses on a Irish whip. And this time, it's Shingo kind of, giving him those Kawada kicks to try to wake him up. Again, flip side of the New Japan Cup match. There's an amazing moment of selling from Ospreay where he's on the top rope and he's going for a top rope Rana. And he seems so discombobulated and wobbly, and he almost slips on the rope, and he's slapping himself in the face to try to get himself back into it to regain his balance and his composure, only for him to end up missing the Rana anyways. But it was, again, just a really good moment of selling that really put over the struggle and the discombobulation that these guys are going through with all of these brutal head drops and moves through tables and strikes and everything that you would expect out of the matches with these guys. We get big near falls as we start to come into the closing stretch. The Oz cutter gets kicked out of. I mentioned made in Japan getting kicked out of. We get this great tease of the hidden blade. The double jump Oz cutter gets countered into a GTR. Ospreay, flips through a lariat and goes for the Oz cutter, but Shingo catches him with his own cutter and hits a big pumping bomber for 2. So the sequences, in this match just become unbelievable as we get into this stretch. There's another awesome sequence where, we talked about Shingo kind of hitting the surprise reverse Rana in the New Japan Cup match where, both guys hit each other with kind of back-to-back reverse Ranas, and Ospreay pops up right into the hidden blade, for this great double down. And then only a 2 count as Shingo's just able to get his hand under the rope. So again, really good, really high drama. The closing moments of this match, they go, into like the big kind of face-to-face, forehead-to-forehead strike exchange with, flying knees and junkyard dog headbutts and slaps and forearms and shoot headbutts. And again, all of the stuff that you would maybe see in like a big time New Japan heavyweight main event. So again, this is showing, that these two guys that came out of the junior division, moved up the weight class, they are the main event. They are fighting for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. It looks like, maybe Shingo is going to have the match under his control, very similarly to the match with Tanahashi that I just reviewed the other day. And he goes for the last of the dragon. It gets countered into a Rainmaker, which I loved, like Ospreay, calling out Okada, the guy that was his mentor, the greatest IWGP heavyweight champion of all time, the guy that beat him at Wrestle Kingdom, the guy that was set up to be his next, title defense had he not have gotten sick. So he hits that Rainmaker, hits the hidden blade to the front of the head instead of the back. So this time Shingo could see it coming, but couldn't do anything about it. And then it's the Stormbreaker once again for the 3 count. And Ospreay retains the title in an incredible match. These guys can do no wrong. You put them against each other, you're in for a thrill ride with some of the best near falls and counter sequences that you're going to see in professional wrestling. That's what we got here. It's longer, which doesn't always necessarily mean better, but it is better than the already incredible New Japan Cup match. They just go to another level. They go higher drama. And like I said, it really feels like, your classic long-form IWGP heavyweight title match of recent memory between two guys that worked their way up from the junior division to get to this spot. Like I mentioned, Ospreay would end up vacating the title. Shingo, coincidentally enough, would end up winning it from Okada to win the vacant championship. And even though both of these guys, neither one is the current IWGP World Champion, it feels like there's still some unfinished business here. I'm sure we'll see this match again in the near future, probably in the 2022 G1, if I had to guess. You can watch this match, of course, on New Japan World. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.